Behind me are 1,000 Louisville undead. And up on that roof is one idiot cowboy. I'm giving that cowboy 6 days to figure out how to set these undead on fire from up on a rooftop. If he can accomplish this goal, I will give him an El Camino with a bed full of 10,000 loose cigarettes. Surprise! I'm not actually Mr. Beast, but I did recently publish a video detailing a strategy of how to safely set a building on fire to burn up all the undead that you've lured into it. I kind of intended this strategy as more of a mid to late game thing to do when you're ripe with resources, skills, and have a faltering will to keep going. But what if I were to try and complete the setup for a burn very early into a run? So early that I can use it to turn the fabled helicopter event into an offensive weapon. Quick Zomboid lesson for anyone who might be watching this without really knowing the game. On default settings, a Zomboid run starts at 9 AM on July 9th, 1993. Then, sometime between 6 to 9 days later, an event happens. A helicopter event, where a mysterious helicopter flies over the map, and if it spots you, the noise it makes starts luring all the nearby zombies to your location. The common strategies for dealing with this event are to either hole up with all the curtains pulled and just read books and do push-ups all day while waiting out the event, or hopping into a car and driving far away from your base so it pulls zombies away from your location. But for this run, my challenge is going to be to have a burn house prepped by the time the helicopter arrives, and instead use it to lure the undead into a fiery doom! And a quick overview of this strategy in case you haven't watched the other video. First, you get a carpentry level up to 6 so you can build stairs to a roof. Then you haul a corpse to a rooftop. Then you blockade the stairs. Then you set the corpse on fire. And then, using a fun fact about creeping fire not being able to burn a tile twice to your advantage, you watch the world burn! For the gameplay, we're going to start with the default apocalypse settings, except I've turned down the loot rarity down to extremely rare. I suspect that finding carpentry tools, and more importantly, the carpentry skill books, is going to be the biggest hangup for completing this. So let's make it a little bit harder. As for the character build, the pro gamer big brain move would be to pick carpenter, and probably handy to start with a carpentry skill almost at the level I'd need to build the stairs. But do I look like a pro gamer to you? I didn't think so. So I'm gonna start by only taking repairman for that one point in carpentry, and the rest of the build is on the screen. Pause it if you're interested. And finally, using a mod, I'll be spawning randomly somewhere in Louisville. I've awoken alone, trapped in a stranger's garage, and oh no, I'm already turning into my father. The garage contained both a hammer and some nails. Good, I'll be needing both of those to build those stairs. But for now, that hammer will let me bonk some heads. The first house I entered had a backpack, one of the most essential items for any playthrough. The second house I found, a dance magazine. I guess I left that mod enabled. Not entirely sure if it will dilute the loot tables, making the educational books harder to find, but this is the bet I've made. And oh yeah, once again, for those of you who may not know Zomboid, for the first week, a station on the television will air educational programming that gives you easy access to some experience and a few skills if you happen to catch them. The carpentry show airs at noon, so my highest priority is to be near a TV when that show airs each day to minimize the amount of manual carpentry grinding I'll need to do. So best I let you enjoy that dance I just learned while waiting for the first episode of the carpentry show to start. Bang those boards, baby! Bang those boards! Boom! First episode got me up to rank 2 in carpentry. A metal pipe. An even better bonker of heads than that hammer I found first. By 1 PM, I found one of the largest backpacks in the game. A substantial find so early into a run. I am feeling lucky. A luck that didn't run out, as by the end of the day, I had scrounged up both the skill books I'd need to help me get to carpentry level 6, and a nice garden fork, and a machete to poke and slice some heads. I sat down and read the first skill book before getting some sleep for the next day. I assessed my location, which was a suburb on the southeast side of Louisville, and decided that my next course of action would be to work my way northwest while continuing to scrounge for the tools I'd need to finish this challenge. By good fortune, I found a second machete. I really am turning into my father! The luck continued as a horde that had come at me from the side of a building backed me up into discovering a sledgehammer just laying out there on the street. With old sledgy in hand, I could theoretically use any building that had pre-existing roof access for this challenge without needing the carpentry skills. But I came into this challenge 100% not expecting to find a sledgehammer, so I'm going to continue with the goal of building my own stairs. Day 2 of the show was about to air, so I retreated. Don't you dare interrupt my shows, pig! Oh my god, no respect from any of the neighbors. Being boosted from reading the skill book, I was able to crank out ranks 3 and 4 in a single episode. Before heading back out, I relaxed a bit and read the next skill book, all while side-eyeing those noisy neighbors who tried to interrupt my show. I booped a few more noggins before deciding to turn in for the night. However, the luck continued, and the house I broke into for sleep happened to have a VHS copy of the woodworking show just sitting there on the shelf. So before catching some Z's, I indulged further into carpentry training. Bang bang! Rank 5 achieved! I woke up on day 3 and it felt like something was missing. A goddamn cigarette was missing, and I had taken a smoker trait and still had not found my Cowboy a pack of smokes, and it was starting to shred his nerves. But so far luck has been well on our side, so the outlook of finding some soon seemed very positive. I continued working my way northwest, and soon, in a tobacco-free school zone of all places, this woman finally provided me with the gift of cigarettes. Happily smoked, I worked my way past some very expensive homes and geez, lady, I don't care if you're a shambling husk, show some modesty. As I fought into the middle-class neighborhoods, I noticed something. Do you see it? On the ground, some car keys. Keys to this taxi, and boy howdy, it even has a bit of fuel in it. Since I actually found a sledgehammer, I don't really require an auto to blockade the stairs I'll be building, but all the planks that I will need to acquire to build the said stairs are quite heavy on their own, so having a vehicle to transport all the materials is still a good thing. And once again, those noisy neighbors tried to interrupt my show. Dicks! Perhaps it was due to the distracted learning, but I didn't quite reach level 6 after watching that show. So I took the garden saw I found in the closet and the hammer I had acquired previously, and I got to work doing some hands-on learning. And soon, I had achieved the unthinkable. Level 6 in carpentry. Who's a man now, Dad? The manual grinding of the skill left me with some planks that I would need to build my stairs, so I started collecting those into the trunk of my sexy new taxi. I washed my face that night and strategized my plan. Referring to the map once again, I see that to the west-southwest is a small commercial district with a small mall that I assume is full of zombies. This seemed to be a decent area to plan my stand, but which building? These small buildings next to the mall, or Tita Maria's Cantina directly across the road, has some strong strategic placement. But they both have the fault of having this longboard texture on their roofs. This particular texture has proven to be unsafe for me while using this strategy in the past. However, a little further away from the mall is a beer and liquor store with a good solid concrete roof. This will be where I make my stand! Day 4 and first things first. Operation Get Me Some Gas! The operation went off without a hitch, and I retreated back into the suburbs. With gasoline acquired, I spent the rest of the day doing some final scavenging prep work. My plan is to build a mini base on top of the liquor store to chill at until the helicopter arrives. So I looted some extra food, a reserve of water in case this takes the full 9 days, a cardboard box to protect my water lest the disgusting rain taint it, and some fancy furniture to relax on while I wait. From here I just needed a few more planks and one last thing. A radio with the frequency for the emergency broadcast station, so I'll know when the helicopter is actually arriving. Half a dozen houses searched before I found a single radio. One radio that wasn't even kind enough to have the emergency band as a preset. I took it with me anyways, because there was a chance I could find the band on a random car radio, and then I could manually tune into it. Several houses later, and no radios with the frequency. Then, I remembered there was a fire truck sitting near where I left my car. Surely, an emergency vehicle would have an emergency radio band for me, right? Wrong! But hey, Homer Simpson's car sitting right here next to my taxi had the goods. It was time to set up shop. I took the back route through the woods because why not? I just assumed there might be more undead on the main drag and wanted to keep them alive for the flames. I secured the immediate area around the liquor store and built my staircase. I was going to jam my taxi into the foot of the staircase to blockade it when I realized I messed up by pulling an Austin Powers here. In a different run, this probably would have been a bad thing, but since I did find a sledgehammer on this run, I just gave the stairs a boop after hanging up some sheet ropes to make sure I had a way back up. I got my very flammable rooftop living space all moved in and took a moment to relax by reading a nice magazine. And after taking that well-earned break, I still had a day and a half of free time before the earliest helicopter might show up. So I decided to use that time to do a little more additional prep work. First, since I'm plotting this fire on top of a liquor store, I need to remove all the alcohol from the store. And not because I think it would be a shame to waste so much good booze, but because in the world of Project Zomboid, both bottles of Mommy's Timeout and cans of Daddy's Shut the hell up before I shut you up become highly volatile when exposed to flames. This rooftop strategy, once set up properly, is safe from creeping fire, but an explosion from a bottle of Merlot going off like a canister of propane can reignite my idiot cowboy. Without mods, Project Zomboid has a mechanic where the undead within buildings don't actually spawn until you're close enough to the building and have a line of sight into it. So on the 6th day, I did some additional prep work by taking a walking tour of the nearby business establishments to peek into each window. I want as many zombies spawned as possible to come at me when this helicopter finally shows up. With the walk complete, it was time to just chill on the roof and wait for the show to start. On the morning of July 15th, my good luck hit once again. Air activity detected. This is the day of days! At 1 p.m., the first sounds of a chopper could be heard. Bring out your dead, you zombie scum! I got a big slab of smoked cowboy meat over here for all you freaks to feast on! And with the dinner bell rang and the dinner copter coptering, the zombies came. Not in droves, but in the tens. Do these freaks not know how tasty my tenderloins are? I am insulted at this turnout. But I had a job to do and an El Camino to win, so I quietly lit my friend on fire and waited for the final tally. 57. 57 burned zombies. Color me underwhelmed. And while I still stand by this strategy as an engaging alternative to the common fire strategies, I don't really see trying to rush it for the helicopter event as anything useful. The helicopter is easy enough to survive, and I actually usually just disable it and use the expanded helicopter events mod in its place for more variety and unpredictability. I simulated the burn again a few times around Louisville with debug mode, and successfully had it net me kills of 27 and 0. So the best bet is just to set up a trap house at your leisure when you acquire the skills and resources, and use some of the classical herding techniques to get more bang for your burning buck. And for what it's worth, I never rushed carpentry before, so I didn't actually know it would be so easy that I could just hit level 6 in just 3 days. Maybe sometime in the future I'll try this again without the starting point in carpentry and a higher starting zombie population just to see what happens. But until then, I have other stories to tell, and holy hackerdoodles, you made it to the end of this video. And since you did that, why not drop a sub if you haven't already? I only have like 185 of those, and that's just not enough.